All right, let's hop in. Let's not waste any time. Okay, so when you are setting up to shoot a wedding ceremony, I got this little diagram right here. Basically, for your side cams, so this is just assuming you have 2 cameras, not including your main camera you're using. Every ceremony setup is a little different, so you kind of just one of these areas. Okay, you start the video when the groom comes down, right? Boom, 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 cool beans. And also, don't be afraid to fade, because there can be a lot of like awkward, maybe not awkward, but when you watch it back on video, it's kind of awkward pauses, or it just takes a while for the next people to come. So don't be afraid to fade. Once everyone's up there, then it's the good stuff. So we want to get the groom's reaction to the bride, right? We want to see him smile. That's nice. And then I'm going to jump back to this diagram. As soon as the bride is like right in this area, that's when you need to flip around and get her reaction coming down. So his reaction, as I'm shooting this, I'm kind of looking over my shoulder to see if she's coming. Boom. As soon as I see that she's right there, you get her reaction, and then don't be afraid to fade. Like I was saying earlier, don't be afraid to fade. Once they get up there, there was a pause, there was a moment. So I faded. So when it comes to the side cameras, I always want to be able to see the officiant's face. So this camera is meant for the bride, but I want to see his face, because when it comes to a ceremony edit, if the officiant's face is blocked, it's just kind of weird, because he or she is the one that's doing most of the talking. So yeah, it's just kind of weird. Sometimes it's just not possible to get their face because of the way the ceremony is set up and where you're able to place a tripod. But that is my goal, is to be able to see the officiant's face. Example of the other side, seeing the groom's face, seeing the officiant's face. Sometimes during weddings, they'll have someone come up and read something. So typically I like to ask, whether it be the planner, the bride and groom, just anyone that would know, like, hey, is anyone going to make a speech during the ceremony or anything like that? That's good to know, because you obviously want to capture that. If you don't have a second shooter, which in this case I did not, I was shooting this by myself, I want to be prepared. This is something I started doing this year, is I always, with my main camera, I always go back to this. I always go like in this area and basically sit down. Like I just go sit down, like crisscross applesauce, whatever, and just get the person who is saying their vows. Sometimes it's a cool angle, sometimes it's not. Depends on the space you have. But most importantly, if for some reason your side camera fails, stops recording, anything like that, and this couple paid for, the ceremony video, and you literally don't have anything of basically the most sentimental part of the ceremony, you're gonna be stressed. And I do that even if they didn't pay for the ceremony video, because some couples want to add that later. And then I just switch to the other side for the bride's vows. And something I also recommend is do not stop recording from the beginning of the vows with your main camera, because if you stop recording, you're just gonna have to sync up that audio again. So I have a little lab mic on him that is not synced, obviously, so I have to sync that audio. So pro tip, don't stop recording when you walk over to the other side. So you see me right there. There I am, walking over, sitting down. Don't block guests, don't be rude. Come on. The amount of people I see, like photographer, when I'm doing video, photographers that I see just straight up blocking guests for like an extended period of time blows my mind. blows my mind. Obviously, you know, get your shot, but like crazy. And I'm certain videographers do it too, but I try my best to not do that. Once, if you're kind of new to weddings, then you probably don't know this. As soon as the rings are coming out, the kiss is coming. So be ready. I typically like to be somewhere around this area for the kiss. Somewhere. You got to kind of communicate with the photographers. Sometimes they like to be like way back here, and you're like, that's kind of difficult. But most of the time, the photographer is like right next to you right there. So we'll go to another ceremony video. So we got groom's reaction. Cool. And then I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm checking when the bride is about to start walking down. As soon as I see her, boom, flip around, get her reaction, get her coming down. And then this is something that is nice for this edit, and then also sometimes it's nice for your wedding highlight or your wedding film, is sometimes there's a very sweet interaction with them hugging or whatever it may be. So I try not to move until that is over. See, you know, sweet, beautiful moment, right? I shoot weddings handheld now. I used a gimbal for like 8 years, and it's sick, but I'm having fun doing handheld. But this is one of the parts where it's like, where I was very, very, very shaky with this shot. You'll see it. It's painful. I don't know. Yeah. Don't like that at all. But get over there and then switch to the side shots. Now, this is one of those scenarios where the officiant was blocked, which is not ideal. I don't like that. And I can't remember exactly the situation with this wedding. I don't know if it was possible to move the tripod really anywhere else without ruining, you know, the good shot of the bride's face. Luckily, as you can already, luckily, as you can tell, I was able to get a good angle of the officiant for the groom's camera. And then same deal here. As soon as their vows started, I crouched down, got this shot, which also in this case, they added vows to the wedding film. So like this, I really enjoyed this kind of creative angle. Maybe you hate it, I don't know. But I thought it was kind of cool rather than this angle, which I don't know, they both look good. I don't know, whatever. But again, like what if this camera had failed? What if it turned off? What if it wasn't recording? So it's great that I had that shot. And then one more example, just to kind of reiterate. So groom's reaction, cool. And then as soon as I see the bride about to be coming, looks like I turned a little early. It was kind of, this one was tough. I couldn't really tell when she was coming. Yep. See, I wish I would have been on the groom until like now, because I probably would have got a nice reaction if I stayed on him a little longer. And then, yeah, great. Her reaction. And then again, you got, you know, people making speeches or reading things. You just got to figure out which camera is going to be covering that if and when it happens, because this camera that we're looking at right now is actually the groom's camera. Luckily, as you can see up here, I had a second shooter. So my second shooter, I just kind of communicated to her like, hey, point the camera at them. Once again, the vows, this ceremony setup was a little tight. So like I would have liked to be a little further back because I don't want to obnoxiously low angle, but I think it looks good. But this is one of those cases where if I hadn't done this, it would have been really bad, because I had a camera on her side, or I had a camera over there, and the both memory cards failed. So couldn't do anything with the file. It was corrupt. So if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't sat here during their vows, they would literally just have this angle right here is all they would have. And I don't think they would be too happy about that. And I would definitely not be happy about that. So yeah, that's how I shoot wedding ceremonies for the wedding video, or not wedding, for the wedding ceremony video. A lot of couples like to have the real-time edit of their wedding ceremony. I think one random note is I used to put one camera like right here, and then once the ceremony actually started, I'd put it like right in the center. It's a good angle, but for photo and video, we typically are in the aisle getting like B-roll for the wedding film, or videos getting B-roll, photographers getting photos, you know, doing their thing. So if you put a camera here, it's going to be blocked like half the time, especially if the photographer you're working with does not care, which there's plenty of those. And again, sure, there's plenty of videographers that are the same. In the case where the officiant doesn't tell people to sit down and people just stand the entire ceremony, which has happened. Like, you can try to move the camera up here. It might not be a good shot. Sometimes the bridal party's blocking. So you do the best you can. But most of the time, even if the officiant forgets to tell people to sit down, people will eventually like, oh, I think we can sit down. There's obviously, you know, more things that go into a wedding ceremony for video, like audio and all that. But I think that's plenty. I hope that's helpful. I hope that helps you shoot wedding ceremonies in a more efficient, less stressful way. Yeah. Cool beans. Have a good day.